Hello everyone, I'm the French Monk and welcome back to Age of Napoleon, the upcoming Napoleonic Warfare full conversion mod for Battle Cry of Freedom. Now I've already heard these next few questions the past couple of days or so, both in the community I'm in and from other people online. Is this the next Mount and Blade Napoleonic Wars? Is this the mod we've all been waiting for? Will it be the deciding one out of the entire list of musket mods and games? Well, on May 15th we'll be able to find out, but for now let's dive into the past and look back at the road we took to get to this point in time. Mount and Blade Napoleonic Wars was developed by Flying Squirrel Entertainment as a DLC for Mount and Blade Warband back in 2012. We are now 10 years later, and naturally as expected its player base diminished over time, many of its players growing bored of the game or focusing on other things in life. 2017, 5 years after Napoleonic Wars release, brought us Holdfast Nations at War. And though many players made the switch, there were also quite a few that didn't like certain aspects of that game, whether it be the style it went for or something else. The complaints I heard in particular from veteran Napoleonic Wars players was in regards to the melee system and the introduction of cavalry, which was on top of the poor close combat melee mechanics not a great sight to behold. This drove off many a player despite several fixes and updates from the development team over at Anvil Game Studio. Though the game also introduced elements like the voice over IP chat that made it really popular and enjoyable, especially for public service and events. This feature would also not go unnoticed by some of its competitors.
It doesn't do enough Holdfast, it doesn't do enough of it, it needs to do more.
Then we had War of Rights, released in 2018, which focused more on the roleplay side and realistic and immersive battles. Then 2020 arrived, and this was the year. Bannerlord would release, though news reached us this would be in early access after a development time of roughly 6 to 8 years. And, well, I think especially from the multiplayer community there was a lot of frustration, anger, disappointment directed towards Tailworlds, even now with the full modding tools not yet released, and only now they are starting to work on opening private servers with first clan battles taking place in native mode. Then you have musket mods like Sword and Musket being forced to concentrate work on modeling amongst other things, as their release depends solely on the release and development of these modding tools by Tailworlds, and yeah, they're still put on hold. All of this caused for a little bit of a gap in time when it came to musket games or mods, most of them inspired in their development and design by the Napoleonic Wars DLC for Warband. So 2 years since Bannerlord was released as early access, and that is up until a new challenger arrived in the form of Battle Cry of Freedom, being the latest project by Flying Squirrel Entertainment, and though focusing on a different time period, namely the American Civil War, the similarities with the Napoleonic Wars DLC, and specifically the North and South mod for that one, are there, especially with the gameplay mechanics and in particular the melee system. Again, this is something that many players value immensely. Battle Cry of Freedom was released back on March 1st of 2022, which is almost 2 months ago from now when this video is being made, and recently we got treated with the news of a Napoleonic Wars mod for that American Civil War game, which in turn was based off of the North and South mod for Warband Napoleonic Wars. It gets confusing, right? So many musket mods, so many musket games, all actually inspired in one form or the other off of the Napoleonic Wars DLC for Warband. So yeah, here we are. Present time, Age of Napoleon announced a little while ago. This mod taking up the same challenge several projects took up before, and that is to recreate that feeling many of us had back when we first started playing Mount and Blade Napoleonic Wars, and also to introduce new players to the era and this type of role-playing games, with hundreds of regiments each having their own command structure, dozens of players allowing grand scale line battles, sieges, casters witnessing the carnage from above, and so on. Now, apart from the Age of Napoleon mod introducing this popular time period to Battle Cry of Freedom, which I'm sure will have many players question, maybe I should try this game out, which, yes you should, it's tons of fun. It is being made by people that have spent years in this community, in this niche. Developers Astir, Valk and the Monkey, with some assets being used from the Lagler mod for Warband made by DOCM30. These guys know their stuff, and I promised you I'd keep you updated on this mod, and obviously the inner journalist in me came forward. So I asked the developers for screenshots, bits of information they could give me on the project, a recap, how it's going, and so on. I'm happy to say I was shared these following amazing pictures, along with the information that some of these are outdated and may contain bugs. An example being the one on the Highlander backpack being wrong. The mod will also allow some customization and multiple regiments to choose from, both on France and Great Britain. These are the two main factions of that era which will feature in this mod. This means both officer classes as well as enlisted units and custom artillery. Age of Napoleon is set during the height of Napoleon's reign, specifically in the year 1810. And now with Bannerlord's sword and musket still on hold because of the lack of modding tools and private servers, and yeah, it's very likely it'll take a while before they'll be able to release it, and Holdfast Nations at War not quite hitting that right nail for many players coming from the Napoleonic Wars DLC, Age of Napoleon's mod for Battlecry of Freedom has an opportunity here. The question is, if they'll be able to grasp it with both hands. I personally have a good feeling, but I'd like to know what you guys are thinking. Let me know in the comment section down below, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care everyone.